Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to CW Live. We know it's the middle of the afternoon and many of you will be working away, so we know the majority of you will watch this session on catch up. So welcome if you're joining us a little bit later on. I'm here today with our General Secretary, Dave Ward, and we are 1 year since the first lockdown. Dave did talk about whether to put a note out to the Met branches and the members. What we felt the right thing to do was to come on and not take too much of your time, but talk about what has been a year like no other in any of our experiences, I think. And what we wanted to do, we can't be here, we've got 200,000 members almost. We can't be here talking through every company that those members are in, but we felt there were a few groups that we wanted to talk about and talk about the effort that you've done and our members have done to keep the country connected during the pandemic. So before I go into those groups of members, Dave, I don't know if you wanted to sort of set the scene and go through your thoughts on the last year from our members' perspective.
Yeah, I think the first thing, Chris, is for us to remember, and hi everybody, by the way, is to remember that everybody in the country and all of our members, we would have lost friends and colleagues, and tragically, on top of that, some people would have lost members of their family during this pandemic. So certainly in our lifetimes, I can say that absolutely in my lifetime, I've never experienced anything that's turned our world upside down as much as this has, and that must be the same for everybody in the country, basically. So, big issues around, obviously, the future of work, unemployment, really big issues with the impact on the economy. The future world of work, anyway, was looking that we need to do something about that because of decades of attacks on workers' terms and conditions. Just made that situation more important that the trade union movement comes together. What type of society we're going to be, lots of slogans about building back better. From where I'm sitting, not a lot of action to plan the type of society we're going to need to be going forward. And of course, dealing with the biggest health challenge to the public health of everybody across the world that we've ever seen. So really big issues. But I think today, you're right, today is about thanking our own members who have collectively done a fantastic job during the course of lockdown. So let's talk about some of those groups of members, Chris, and let's make sure we cover all the CW.
Thanks, Dave. And to those people who are watching, nearly 1,000 people online. So some of you, perhaps, you need to get on with your work and not be bored by me and Dave during the middle of the afternoon. But no, it's brilliant to have you with us all. And before I wanted to go into the groups of workers, Dave, I wondered if, obviously, we can't have an event like this without touching upon those who are no longer with us. And before I wondered if we could sort of say a word or two about that, because obviously, it is a hugely emotive issue. And we've also got lots of people who are fighting for their lives with this awful virus. So I think if you, maybe a word or two from you on that, and then we'll get into the sort of various groups of members.
Yeah, I mean, I did touch on that initially, but I mean, you're right, Chris. I mean, as we're speaking today, there's people we know, and it would be wrong to mention one or two without mentioning everybody. So, let's just suffice to say that we know we've got friends and colleagues, other reps, other members who, as we speak now, are fighting for their lives. We know that there's lots of people who have been through that. We've lost, sadly, lots of people. And we should always mark that with respect. And we do as a trade union. I can't think of any meeting where we don't at some point reference that fact. So, our thoughts, our prayers are always with those people. I wake up every morning and I kind of think of some of those people who are still going through it now. And, of course, we want to make sure that everybody who's watching today reflects on that. I know the country is being asked to do that tonight, so I'm sure people will play a role in that.
Thanks, Dave. So, I mean, let's take a whistle-stop tour through the various groups of members that we represent, starting with our postal members and colleagues. I mean, we have seen one hell of a year. We've completely, if you remember, it was only just over 12 months, we announced a further 3 national ballot results in 3 years. And we're in a massive dispute with the company. Here we are sitting today. We spoke to Terry Pollinger last week. The company at national levels, relationships are improving and heading in the right way. We've had a total reversal of the company strategy, and there seems to be a fair amount of room for optimism. So our postal members, though, Dave, that's not all about the union. And as good as people like yourself, Terry, and others are, and as great negotiators as you are, a lot of that leverage you were able to use during that campaign was built off our members' work during this pandemic, surely.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing to say is that you can't negotiate any deal at any point in your lifetime as a trade unionist if you haven't got the support of your members. I mean, the best deals in the most challenging moments always come when your members are behind you. And postal workers have done a fantastic job during the pandemic. I mean, they've shone a light on what their role is, probably more than any other time. As we've existed as a trade union, and they've completely turned around the fortunes of the company during that period. It's been really tough. I mean, incredible workload for our postal members, but they've been a lifeline really to so many people in the country. And I think from that we've been able to negotiate an agreement that does, as you say, give us a more optimistic outlook for the future. And we think we can build on that work. So many people have recognised the work that postal workers do, almost being in some cases, the only person that some people have seen during the pandemic. So that in itself, credit to our members for their hard work, but also, it's given us the chance to negotiate that agreement, the pathway to change. And there is room for optimism in the future about growing jobs, growing the industry. So well done to everybody in that regard.
Thanks, Dave. We obviously, another group of workers who were designated key workers from day one, but perhaps didn't get the acknowledgement that they deserved were our telecom members, taking their own personal risk, going into people's homes, fixing broadband and keeping the sort of nation online whilst the home working revolution and homeschooling revolution took place. Their reward from management is a bitter dispute and prospect of thousands of compulsory redundancies. I'll ask you to comment on that, Dave, but also couldn't talk about our telecom members without mentioning the ongoing dispute with our repayment project engineers in Openreach, who have today taken the 10th day of industrial action. So I wonder if you could comment on our RPE members, but also the wider membership in telecoms.
Yeah, first of all, our RPE members, 10 days of strike action that they've taken. We're launching a solidarity fund for those members today. And it's just shameful that a company as big as BT, that's so important to the future of the UK's economy, has adopted this line of attacking our members' jobs, terms and conditions, at the same time as applauding them for being key workers. It doesn't add up. It's not right. And a company like BT should never be doing that. So, it's really important that we recognise that we get behind that group of members. For our BT members, again, incredible workload. They've kept at it right the way through the pandemic. And, there wouldn't have been home working. There wouldn't have been homeschooling if it hadn't have been for the work that our members do on a day-to-day basis. So once again, it's showing how important CW members are to the whole of the country in keeping the country going, in keeping the country connected, as we're always saying. So, we now face a ballot with the wider BT membership, the most important issue the union is dealing with at the moment. And, we're here to say we're going to win that ballot and we're going to get a really good agreement because our members deserve it. And, I'm sure that everybody watching, it doesn't matter what part of the union you come from, you will be supporting both our repayment project engineers and you'll also be supporting our BT members as we move towards that ballot.
Thank you, Dave. Remind everyone as well, let us know where you're watching from and we'll try and give a shout out to as many people as we possibly can. Dave, I want to talk about our members in financial services. I mean, as a union, we've raised the issue of financial exclusion in this country so many times, including the fight for a call for a post bank across the post office network. When this pandemic hit and the first lockdown hit, there were millions of people excluded, unable to get into branches, etc. But our members, often working from their own living rooms, dining rooms, bedrooms, were working so hard to keep banking services going, to ensure that people had call centers were open and they could take people's concerns and their queries. They've done a fantastic job. And I would say, Dave, another group of workers underappreciated in this pandemic.
Yeah, I mean, you just explained it there very well, Chris. I mean, this country suffers from financial exclusion. It's going through a phase where many banking services are being taken off the high street. But our members in Santander, in the post office, in the terms of the way that they interact with customers, we've got to be out there still, and our members have continued to work to ensure that customers still have the opportunity to speak to people about banking services and about financial services. So once again, there's another group of workers there that we can be proud of. We can be proud of the work they do. These things will impact on the future, and the union has to stand up for all our members. We have to have strategies to deal with that going forward, and we'll be thinking a lot about that as we move forward, about what home working may mean to some of those members in the future, because undoubtedly companies are starting to look at that more, and we need to be making sure that we do the right thing for our members in their future work-life balance. So again, a big thanks to all of the members who've kept the country connected in our financial services work.
Thank you, Dave. A group of workers who we've newly brought into the union, the tech workers, over 200 of them now are members of our newly created tech workers branch, which is absolutely fantastic, and welcome to every single one of you. I mean, I think tech is something that if you weren't thinking about it 12 months ago, you're certainly thinking about it now, and it's something that's a huge part of all of our life. So that group of members not only valuable to our union, Dave, but valuable to the whole of society, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, these are crucial workers, and it's great that they've joined our union recently and that we've set up our first ever tech branch, and that's growing at the moment, and it's something we want to continue to do. It fits with the wider world of communications, and it brings with it a level of expertise and skill that everybody benefits from. And, they face their own challenges. They face exploitation. I know one of the big concerns with tech workers is that who lead those tech workers can watch them all the time and can make the intensity of their work, overpowering. So we've got a job of work to do with that. But again, one of the great things about the CW as we're going through the various elements of workers that we have, is that all of them in their own way have played a crucial role during this pandemic. All of them in their own way are vital to the future of this country. So, that gives us a good base to support those members, for us to support each other, and for us to grow this union as well.
Thanks, Dave. One of the groups of members, the final group I want to talk about, and as I said at the start of the broadcast, we just can't go through every single group of members we represent, but be assured that the union is right behind you. Is our cleaners featured in this? Do a plug, the next issue of the Voice Lounge with members on Friday, Saturday. We think it's a really good edition, obviously leading on the dispute in BT, but we've also got a big plug in there, Dave, for our cleaning members across all employers. If you think of those situations where offices have been closed and they've had to go in and do the deep cleans, they're the first people in, they're the last people out. They've been exceptional across all businesses, haven't they?
Yeah, and undervalued at times in society. But if anything shone a light on the value of work that cleaners do, it would have been the nature of this pandemic. And what's important for our cleaners, one is that we recognise the work that they do. We do. I think our branches and our members will appreciate that they couldn't have continued their own work without the real sort of support that's been given by our cleaners on a day-to-day basis. So that's been happening across all of the companies that we work in. It's been happening at this headquarters as well. You know, we've had our cleaners in, and they're constantly coming round, you know, cleaning the building, making it safe for us. So yeah, big thanks to all our cleaners across the piece that are members of the CWU. One of our aims should be and we've been successful in this in some companies, is to make companies take cleaning more responsible in terms of like making them proper employees, not outsourcing their work. It's a direction that we should fight for our cleaning members, so that their jobs are, you know, more secure going forward. So again, you know, could the country have survived without the army of cleaners? And it's great that we suddenly recognise, and society recognises, how important the value of what they do is to the wider world of work.
Thanks, Dave. I know you've got a 2 o'clock meeting, which I've already taken you just past. So one final thing to let you close, and that's obviously amongst all those brilliant games from our members. I think, you know, I'd like you to sort of wrap up your closing thoughts for a few seconds, if you like, within this question, which is that whilst all that's been going on, I think it's fair to say that the union has continued to operate at a really high level. Our branches, our reps, you know, winning the dispute in Royal Mail, winning the consultative ballot in BT, launching the national ballot in BT. I mean, you know, and I wondered if you, in your closing comments, had a word or two for our reps and our branches as well.
Yeah, again, you know, every meeting we have, we reflect on the work that our reps are doing. The reps have been fantastic during this pandemic. You know, we've managed to keep engaged with our members. We've dealt with very, very serious, big issues, great challenges that we've had to tackle over the last year, despite the pandemic. And, you know, our reps have stood firm. They take strength from each other. The members have supported them. It's been difficult for the reps, I think, on a daily basis. Our health and safety reps would be engaged, our local reps, in a world that was very different. So we can recognise that today by, you know, I hope all of the members recognising that our reps are volunteers. And, you know, they do a job that you can't be a strong union without that rep space. It's something I'm constantly talking about in the wider trade union movement. And it would be great to see that coming out of this, that actually trade unions, you know, are reborn, that we rebuild trade unions on the base of strong workplace representation or local representation. And that's what this union will always do. So thanks for all the work you do for the union and for the members.
Thank you, Dave. So thanks to you. I'm going to let you get off now because I know you've got another really important meeting, but also thanks to everyone who's tuned in. Thanks to everyone who's going to join us later on Catch Up, and let's hope there's a lot of cause for more optimism for the year coming. But one thing that won't change is the union's ability to look after you in the workplace. Good afternoon, everyone.
Bye.